folks, and welcome to the stream. My name is Mike D'Angelo, aka That Tellest Guy. We are back today, probably for only a few moments, looking at the Furnace River map that we were making. It's the first map that we are doing in our volcanic zone. We did a decent amount of work 2 weeks ago. We took a little bit of time off last week because Rihanna and I were preparing for a brief Comic-Con, but it was still a busy time for us, and we had to do a lot of prep work. But off stream, I managed to put together some stuff that I think elevates this map somewhat. So we'll take a look at a couple of the things that we did. We always try to do the 4 points of interest and everything. So the very first thing that we had come up with, of course, was the bridge. That's a fun little take that you can have in this area. You can see like the cracks and everything. So if you really needed to, you could break this bridge in passing or things like that. The next one that we built after that was I'm kind of considering this like a rock's nest or something like that. I think the D&D rock is humongous. You know, like the size of like a commercial jet, like pretty darn big. I'm considering something much smaller here, but you know, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a rock. It could be a Thunderbird, something like that. Not quite sure. We'll have to figure out how people manage to make sense of this kind of stuff. But I was thinking a bird-like entity, things like that. We also have these crystals that I took, which we'll do a copy of this real quick so you can see. If I get rid of some of this stuff, the regular color style for this is just a blue crystal, and I threw on some fiery red shadow, and we don't actually need the shadow at all for the point of showing you this. But the dungeon, for whatever reason, has these blue crystals, and I thought something like a golden red looked a lot nicer here. So that's why you have those. And then the last bit of point of interest that I have here is just something from like a weapon search. We have a holy dagger here, which for whatever reason is surviving on top of all this lava. I imagine this stone here is stationary, but it doesn't have to be, you know, for the sake of whatever adventure you're telling. It could be whatever you want, but I am imagining that the rock itself is surviving and the knife is surviving because it's got some kind of magical component to it that's allowing it to survive a little bit longer than it normally would if it was a regular knife. So I'll tell you what, we are pretty much, like I said, done with this map. So let's throw that to fit the screen, and let's get some fanfare in there. All right, we are back. Let's real quick, we're going to take a step out into another map in a few seconds. Let's see, what did I actually change? I don't think that I changed anything too much. Right. Oh yeah, just that stuff, so we don't care about that. We're going to take a look at a series of partner maps that we got as well, since they are in theme and everything like that. And then we're going to take a brief break to go to our sponsors and stuff like that. We're probably not going to take a QQ break today because I do have something to say about that for Thursday, but we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get closer to that. Anyway, so this is Becca Tigress. She made 3 more maps for us, and I specifically asked her to do something like a forge and a fire giant lair. The way that I've kind of imagined it was in Son of the Storm's sequel, Lord of Thunder, we had an instance where our characters had to go into, you know, like the old lair of a bunch of fire giants who had a forge in order to build something. So she kind of took that idea and worked with it. So you can see these maps kind of play on each other. They have, excuse me, this section here links to this section here, and then if you come up here, this section here links up to this section here. One of the things that I had decided that I was going to probably try and do was one of my variants is probably going to be tweaking things to make it fit a little bit better left to right so that you can actually lay them down side by side and have them connect that way. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off, but it's something that I'm going to try, and we'll see how that goes. Real quick, before we go to the sponsor break, I did want to mention, you can probably hear that I'm a little bit out of it. I'm not feeling 100% today, so we're probably not going to go the full 45 minutes. We'll probably keep it, quick today, and we'll probably end around 7:30 just because I do not feel 100%. Probably caught something during the convention, but hopefully it's something small and something that passes relatively easy, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. And now, a word from our sponsors.
A spectacular whirlwind adventure that mystifies as much as it enthralls readers, Raymond Dwayne's Quinine is the sort of epic fantasy that most people would have a hard time dreaming of. Yet, the author has done much with this universe, establishing foundational pieces of rich lore, religious history and prophecy, and wrapping it all together in a package that makes it feel like some of the best pulp fantasy of yesteryear. Indeed, there is a way that Quinine is presented that makes it feel as though this hero has been around for decades. Despite the classic feel, though, it is also wild in its imagination, with blended species bringing a sense of alien majesty to the world, which just so happens to be the massive hand of the goddess. If you'd like to learn more, head over to the Tellest website, where you'll be able to find our promotion for Quinine by Raymond Dwayne. Author Kane Soke delivers a stunning and swift dark fantasy with his debut, Gore. The titular hero is, at once, in a world that is overwhelmed by evil, but also the only one who could possibly stand against the demonic onslaught. Soke isn't afraid to really throw everything he's got at his hero, and the book has more than enough blood and grit to show for it. But there's a method to the author's madness. Dark and dreary as they may be, the scenes are written beautifully. As rough as the world is, the dialogue is chosen with care and delivered as witty and fun repartee. It's a quick read, perfect for unwinding over the weekend. If you've been looking for a dark fantasy with tons of spectacle that feels like a fun treat, don't wait. Check out our promo for Gore by Kane Soke on the Tellest website.
Alright, we are back. We're into our next map, which is the 5th map in our mountain set. We are going just south of I believe it's the mountain ascent map that we built second in this zone. And what you can see is that we have just some brief little stuff put together in order to get us into like the right place for where we want to build things. Excuse me. So we do know that this map is going to focus on a bridge, just like the last one. Same direction scheme and everything as well. But obviously the impact of this one is a lot different. We have this huge distance between where we are here on the mountain and how far down below things are, so you can tell some interesting stories that way. And what we're also going to do is make it so that the left side of this map is kind of inaccessible. We're not going to be able to have an easy way to get in here. There is an opening here on the side of this mountain where you can kind of see like the inside of a cavern. This cavern is going to be different than the cavern that's up here, but you can potentially have some opportunities for some other encounters here and things like that. So it should be interesting. We're going to play with it a little bit, see what we can pull off. And you can also see the mountain up here terminates along the edge, but down here we have it going off the side. I don't know if I'm going to keep it that way because thus far we haven't had the mountain extend past this way, and if we do, I don't know how much of it is going to, if it's just that, there's not a lot that we can do with this map over here. So I do have to kind of think about that. We'll kind of cross that bridge as we get there, but yeah, we'll see. So let's keep moseying along. We're going to do some of these smaller guys real quick. And that'll help us to decide where we're going to subtract some of this stuff from, because we won't need any of this crazy stuff there. Okay, so we've got that side over there figured out. do know that we don't need all this stuff over here. And we're going to be able to kind of clean this up even more once we get rid of the top map. We're just keeping it there to make sure that if we are going to build anything out, it doesn't go too far over. And you can kind of see where the cut is, because right there is where you can see like the little bit of cloudy overlay is a little bit different. So you are losing that there just slightly, but it helps us to differentiate where those things are. And certainly here is not quite as jarring. So you can see these kind of connect really well, and all this stuff as well. So we don't have to worry too much about that. Let's keep on going with the cliffs. That'll make things a lot easier for us as we're building to... Who said you could do that? Just trying to work with this one. So we'll do something like that. Maybe we'll turn it a little bit more. There you go. It's a good start, and then we got to keep on going. Make sure that you're getting... Ooh, probably the wrong one to use. We want to use this guy. Yeah, not liking that one either yet. Let's keep on playing with things and we'll figure out what we like. See if we can connect these two a little bit better. Throw that one down. It's actually not too bad. Bump that up to -2, and it's a good fit there. That's no longer a good fit over there, so we'll do something like this. Oop. Don't need that one. Well, actually, yeah, maybe that's the, well, it's the same thing, isn't it? No, it's not. But I think that helps us to iron out where we want to go with this. We're not going to let it go off the side because, again, kind of ruins things if we do that. How much do we get by doing it that way? Let's do it something like that, and then that way that'll travel into that next zone a little better for us. So let's subtract this stuff out. And again, we're not going to go too crazy with this because we do know that we're going to have to clean it up once we break this map down into its own piece. That'll help us to be a little bit more high def with this map itself. Definitely have to build out there because you can see where that mask is. I mean, we don't necessarily need the mask. We don't really have any sides to speak of. But I think we use it just to make sure that everything is fine-tuned. Excuse me. There is fine, so let's switch this back to an add, and we're going to make sure that we're using the correct style. Okay, don't have to go too crazy there. A little bit here we need to lose, I think. Maybe not. Yeah, we'll lose it just in case. We can always patch it back in when we need it. of that coming out when it doesn't need to be. We don't have to worry too much about it. Okay, that's a good mountain for us. Let's do a save because 155 changes is a decent amount. And while this is going, I'll talk a little bit about what we're planning on doing this Thursday. I could not get 4 players together for this Thursday's Quantum Quest Live, so I figured what we would do is just take a deeper dive into the cards themselves. We've had 4 games at this point, so what we're going to potentially do is just take a look at all the cards from the reinforcement set. That is the one that we are starting to gear towards kickstarting, and I feel like if people know what kind of cards they're going to be getting, it might make it a better, a funner experience for them. So we'll see how that goes. Alright, let's move over to our bridge now. We'll see, now that we have the outline of the mountain and everything, we'll figure out if we can get a bridge that looks pretty nice. So we're just going to do the pen tool, and we're going to do a stamp instead of a color. And let's just type in bridge, because I think there's a couple of bridge options. It would help if I was saying bridge, not birdie. Alright, so we've got this rope bridge here. We've got the orc bridge, which is a rickety bridge. I think that might be the one that we end up using. And let's cut it back down to 30. And we're going to have it go from about there to try and keep it in line about there. I don't want it to go too far because then it has the potential to go over. That's pretty darn rickety. You know what? I am perfectly okay with it because there's no rule that says that I can't have a variant where the bridge is a little bit cleaner. So let's do this. Let's take the path out of there. Take the path out of there. Take the bridge out of there. And now we have a bridge. Let's actually scooch it down just a smidge more. And that way both sides have a little bit more of a foundation. And let's see if we go into the orc set, if there's something that we can use to kind of bolster that further. So we got our rickety bridge somewhere in here. The darn thing would load. So we've got rickety bridges. No stuff that I want as far as kind of making sure that it's in place. Let's type in bridge one more time. Let's see if there's anything that we can use to kind of bump that up some. Let's see, maybe post wood. Use these wall caps. Maybe like this wooden pillar will do nicely. So we don't need a 95. Let's try 30 or so. And you can see the color is a little bit off, and I think we could probably make do with just changing the saturation a little bit. And maybe if we drop it from 30 to 20. Pretty good there, and then I might spruce it up with some rope to kind of make it look a little bit more put together. Let's go back up here to our catalog. We've got these coils of rope, rope knots, and these pieces of rope. So let's just do kind of like one of these small pieces of rope. That's pretty big. And we'll throw that underneath. I might shrink that down even further. Excuse me. I might even try and see if I can find like a stake or something. Something that we can put in place to make it look even more like it's... Yes, the bridge itself might be rickety, but they've got the posts in there pretty tight. Let's do stake. I feel like this is more for a tent, but... yeah, not quite doing what I wanted to. We're going to try one more time to get something wooden that we can throw down there. Kind of looks the part. We're honestly just going to use the same thing, the wooden pillar, but we're going to dial it back as far as the size goes. So we'll make it a 5. We might have to change the way it looks once we get to the high def. Okay, it's only 25 changes, but we did a decent amount with what we were planning. So let's do one more save. Don't really need the text that says caverning opening. That can go away. So the next big thing that we need to do is make the mountain around here. And we've got 2 big points of interest here. We'll probably have another point of interest over here or on top of the mountain, and then maybe something else over here as well. I had previously had like the actual cave art and stuff like that, and we certainly don't need that if we've got the stuff that we've got. Let's do a different cliff up there, and let's actually start from down here off the map. See if I can get that looking good, even with what we've got up here. It's probably going to be a little bit tough because of that, but let's try and see if we do a clipping mask over top of it. Maybe one more over here. See, part of the issue is we're clipping out the grid, and I don't want to clip out the grid. So that right there kind of doesn't save the day enough. Let's revert this. Let's get rid of this guy. We might be able to make magic happen elsewise. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. And we'll keep on tweaking things until we get it where we want it, until we get it to be something that we feel comfortable with. I feel like if we can connect these two, that looks nicer. And then let's try and dial this one back a little bit. That's the same ones. Don't want to use that one. Make sure that we're cutting across there just right. And actually, this is a nice fit because we did want to kind of build that up in this direction. I think this one might be a little too big to pull off, but we might look out. And actually, that makes for an interesting little gap that we can have there, because what we might be able to do is put like little rubble piles there, and that could be like a way for you to break out of that part of the mountain if you wanted. So if you were in that cavern, it gives you an opportunity to do something different. Let's think here. I have to tweak some things really quick, I think, because I just realized we're going to run into a problem on this next map over. So let's do this real quick. Got everything we need there. We're going to do a save real quick. I am going to bring up another map because I know that things are not quite where we're going to want them if we go to our mountain waterfall map. Actually, no. They should, in theory, be okay. But we'll play with it and we'll see if we can get it to do what we want it to. So we've got another map coming through real quick. So this map connects over to here about. Let's actually try and see if we can manage that out a little bit better. Let's see, the grid is a little too big there, so let's try and shrink it up a little bit. And right about... Oh, it's not going to shrink any further than that. Well, that's fine. Do I lose the grid? Did I actually... Oh, I went to the wrong side. There we go. Alright, so that's about as small as I'm going to be able to get it. It's kind of a pain. Wait, is it still letting me? There we go. Did I go too small? I think I did. That's pretty darn close right there. So what you can see here is that's where things connect. You can see that this comes out here a little bit, and then we have some kind of gap here that we're going to have to figure out. Now, this is not saying that anything that we have here makes this, unacceptable. You can have big gaps in a mountain like this that makes sense. But we do have to keep that in mind as we're building this out. We want to make sure that we're, not being blind to that kind of capability and that perspective. We might continue to build this up a little bit, but like I mentioned before, I think one of the things that we have access to do here, and I don't want to lose sight of it, is I want to put a couple of rocks right here to make it look like the stuff is weak, so you could either break in or break out if you needed to. And let's make it something even smaller. I'll make it like 15 because we're going to have a decent amount of these here. There's your sign. That's your signal that something here is weaker than it appears. All right. Like I had mentioned earlier, we're 7:30, and we were gonna keep this kind of tight because I wasn't feeling 100%. Let's wrap this up. So let's head to our show closing page. So folks, on the screen right now, you should see all the places that you can find Tellest out there on the internet. Tellest.com is a great first place to start because it'll usually bring you in the direction of our other projects. We have 3 premium sites that you can head to now. Patreon.com/Tellest is where you can subscribe to get battle maps every week. We try and do at least one new map every week, and then Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays we try and do something tabletop related, whether it's maps, point of interest documents, scenes, that kind of stuff. Michael would love some medicine or jockey milk. The man do want his jockey milk, but probably not. But I'm legally obligated to say yes. Tellest.etsy.com is where you can find physical versions of our maps. We have 63 maps currently made for physical. They look great, and a lot of them, I mean, as you can tell, they connect to each other in some fun ways, so it's cool to have those maps kind of connect that way. We also have a new one that we have up here, battlemapfantasy.com. will bring you to our Drive-Thru RPG partner page, where we have over 110 maps now, I think. So that is a great place to go if you want to buy your maps one-off instead of subscribing on Patreon. We definitely have a lot of options available for you there. TikTok.com/@WeirdWitchWands is where you can go to find Rihanna's one-of-a-kind handcrafted magic wands. She puts together really awesome videos so you can see what you can buy over on Tellest.etsy.com. If those wands are still available, they do sell pretty quick once someone sees them and decides they wants them. TikTok.com/@TalesOfTellest is where you can find our pups. And then the last 2 places that I'll bring your attention to, YouTube.com/@WorldOfTellest is where you can find all of our videos after the 3 weeks or 4 weeks or however long we can be on Twitch before they kick us off. But twitch.tv/ThatTellestGuy is the only place where you can see us live. Give us your ideas, amass some quest coins for our Quantum Quest live games and things like that. But that is going to wrap us up for today. I'm hoping to feel better for our stream tomorrow. We'll continue our work on the mountain bridge. So thank you, and I miss you.